So then I just come down and kind of nestle up right next to her, give her some support, and makes her feel a little bit more comfortable. I'll grab up and underneath her arm here and then grab onto her shoulder. And we'll just be working on the same muscles that we've already covered. So right here, I'm just lengthening her traps, opening up her pecs. Just try not to go too deep too fast. Seeing what kind of resistance I have. Sometimes I'll come in and just kind of slightly feel around to see what we're working with. And I really like having my leg up against her back, and whenever I pull her onto my leg that way, it's hitting a little bit of that rhomboid. So it also gives a little bit of support into the back as well as hitting all of her neck and her shoulder. How is that? Good. I usually move pretty slow in this. I don't go too fast. And then I'll go ahead and move down. And again, like she was saying, we like to have her arm kind of up against the side of her body. That way it's not falling forward and collapsing forward. It also gives us a little bit more of a handle. So I come up and just kind of push down. Opening up the neck. Seeing what kind of resistance we have, what we're dealing with here. And then I usually move their hair just so you're not stepping on it and pulling it, being aware of all the different things that you might be touching and dealing with. And then I just slightly go in. And I have very bony knees, so I have to be very aware of that. Is that too much?
You're good.
Okay. And I just do a little rocking, kind of trying to feel around, but not go in too deep. And was that too deep?
No.
Okay. So it's also good to know what your friend is used to doing, if they're an athlete, if they're not, what's going on with their body on a daily basis. I tend to work on a lot of athletes, so I go a lot deeper, a lot faster than most people, and then I have to be aware of that whenever I'm working on normal people. Like, oh yes, I can't just put my knee in your neck. Okay. So communication is definitely key. How's the rocking? Do you prefer the rocking or static?
No, I like both.
A little bit of both? Okay. And then I start to like strengthen and lengthen her arms. Not strengthen, I wish I could strengthen it.
Yes. My arms.
Oh, brain is non-functional. And I just kind of make my way up through to the, what is this process? The acromion? Yeah, up into the shoulder, between the scap and the clavicle. I'm just barely moving up. And then I come out slow, and then I kind of come back down in. Barely moving up. Very, very, very slow in this area. Anything too fast will definitely send your friend jumping, or screaming, or punching, or any of the above. Oof, yeah. And once you kind of get this all opened up, you can definitely spend a lot more time in this area, but we will be moving on. Once I kind of get that all opened up, I come back down. And again, I can't really use my elbow because it is very sharp and pointy. So I end up using more of this part of my arm. And I'll come in, and usually if they're wearing necklaces, I'll ask if they want it to be removed, or I just try to move it out of the way so that I'm not choking her and or pushing anything down into her neck. So then I just kind of come in at the very base and hook, and very slowly add more pressure as I'm going forward up towards her ear. And at the same time, I usually kind of give it a little bit of a shake on her shoulder just to kind of give it a little more opening, inviting it to open and to release. How is the pressure? Good. And as you can see, I'm more on the back side. I'm not crossing over into the front. Don't really like hitting in front with all the different arteries and veins and nerves. And I'm just very, very slowly, gradually making my way up her neck. And like she said, this looks very boring to the outsider, but the one receiving is like, oh, this is amazing. So I'm hitting a lot of the different neck muscles, as you can see on the screen. And then if you want to come up and reposition, I very slowly come out of that. And then I'm going to come up a little higher, move her necklace out of the way, make sure I'm not going to be pulling her hair. So move all of this out of the way. And I am going to be coming right in here, so I will be pulling a little bit close to the hairline, but I will also check in with her as I'm going to make sure I'm not pulling too much. And I come up right into that suboccipital, where we get a lot of tension headaches. This could also be some of your TMJ issues. I mean, most of that is going to be here, but it's also connected. And now what I'm doing here is I'm just very slowly, gradually moving down this way and that way, so kind of backwards. A little bit of a skin stretch. Am I pulling your hair? Okay, good. If you were to go too fast, then it would definitely be pulling skin and hair and not feel good at all. And at the same time, I'm using my other hand to kind of lengthen her shoulder as I'm doing this. Just a little bit of movement. I could literally spend all day here on most people because all of us need this work. We're all very, very anteriorly rotated, looking at our phones, on our computers, you name it, that's what we're doing. There we go. Then I'm going to come to her back and just put my feet to support. I usually bring my heels to the very base of her back. That way she has that support and she's not going to be falling back onto the balls of my feet. And then I'll just grab her arm, and I have the balls of my foot just on this rhomboid on the other side of the scap as support. I don't want to use my toes to get up in there unless it just happens to fall over onto my toes, but that can be pretty painful if you're just like digging in. Now, if I'm getting in deeper on somebody, then I might do that, but definitely not to start. And a little bit of rocking and rotation in the lumbar as I'm supported on the rhomboid. How is that? Good. Then I'm just making my way up her rectors, which is are the muscles around the spine.